For 5 years, he was a struggling YouTuber with a tiny audience. Then, he quit college, moved out of his mother's house, and committed to a singular, relentless obsession that broke the internet. Now, that's not the opening line to some Hollywood movie. That's the real-life origin story of Jimmy Donaldson, the guy we all know as MrBeast. And it's a story about turning pure, raw desperation into a data-driven global empire. See, he didn't just get lucky, he didn't just go viral by accident, he didn't just play the YouTube game, he built a system, a formula, born from an almost terrifying obsession that completely rewrote the rules for everyone. So, how in the world did he do it? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the 6 critical parts of the MrBeast machine. We'll start with that one moment his obsession finally cracked the code. We'll look at the painful backstory that really forged his mindset. Then we're going to define the formula itself, see how it's actually engineered into his videos, understand his legacy, and finally, distill the one crucial lesson for all of us, how to eliminate our own dull moments. All right, let's start at the beginning, the defining moment. And this wasn't just a lucky break, this was a calculated experiment that basically gave him the keys to the entire YouTube kingdom. So picture this, the year is 2017. Jimmy Donaldson has been grinding away making videos for 5 years, with pretty much nothing to show for it. He's broke, he's just moved out of his mom's house, and he is absolutely desperate for a win. But he has this unshakable belief, this core conviction, that the YouTube algorithm isn't some kind of magic. No, it's a machine. And like any machine, it can be understood, it can be decoded, and yeah, it can even be beaten. He just needed to find the right input to get the output he craved. So, what was the input that finally worked? It was this number, 100,000. He decided to do something so absurd, so pointless, but so demanding of extreme effort that it was impossible to ignore. He sat in a chair and filmed himself counting, out loud, to 100,000. It took him nearly 24 straight hours. It was painful, it was boring, it was completely ridiculous. And you know what? It was pure genius. And that's when the light bulb went off. The video went viral, not because it was clever or funny, but because it was the perfect bait for the algorithm. It was a massive spectacle built on an unbelievable scale of human effort. In that one moment, he realized the path to breaking the internet wasn't about being the wittiest guy in the room. It was about engineering content that was massive in scale, backed by an all-consuming, visible work ethic. The formula was born. But that kind of obsession, it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was forged in years of isolation and failure. Which brings us to part 2, the crucible. His path to obsession was really a perfect storm. First, a diagnosis of Crohn's disease meant he had to redirect all his intense competitive energy from sports into a new arena, YouTube. Then came the big one. He dropped out of college after just 2 weeks. This decision led his mother to tell him he had to move out, which sounds tough, but it created this do-or-die situation. There was no safety net. It was YouTube or die. And this ignited a 5-year period of what he himself called an unhealthy obsession, where he just locked himself away to study the algorithm like it was a sacred text. So here's the thing you have to understand. The public sees the viral sensation, right? The guy giving away millions of dollars. But the reality? The reality was years of thankless, grueling, analytical work. He wasn't out partying, he was reverse engineering data, testing theories, and failing over and over and over again. This period of isolation is the bedrock of his entire empire. It taught him that obsession, when you apply it systematically to data, was the only way to get to the scale he was dreaming of. And this brings us to the very heart of this explainer, part 3, the MrBeast Formula. This is where we shift from the backstory to the actual philosophy that governs every single decision he makes. Okay, here it is, the core rule. You've probably heard the saying, content is king. Well, MrBeast takes it a step further. Content is king, but metrics are God. This means that creating something great isn't enough. Excellence is basically a high-stakes logistics equation. Every single element of a video, the title, the thumbnail, the first 3 seconds, the editing pace, is obsessively optimized for one single divine metric, viewer retention. If people stop watching, you lose. It really is that simple. Now, this core rule is held up by 3 non-negotiable pillars. Think of them as the load-bearing walls of his entire operation. First, reinvestment as fuel. Second, a pretty ruthless hiring philosophy called A players or death. And third, a commitment to maximum effort for maximum value. Let's break each one down. This first pillar is maybe the most radical part of the whole thing. He reinvests nearly 100% of all profits right back into the next video. Seriously, when a video made $10,000, he spent $10,000 on the next one. When it made $1 million, he spent $1 million. This isn't about getting rich, it's about feeding the machine. It creates this virtuous cycle where bigger budgets lead to bigger spectacles, which lead to more views, which, you guessed it, lead to even bigger budgets. It's the economic engine of his entire operation. The second pillar, A players or death, is all about his team. And this quote really says it all. He believes mediocrity is poison. He only hires people who are as obsessive as he is. People who want to be the best in the world at their specific job, whether it's editing or logistics or design. If you're not an A player, you just don't last. It's a ruthless standard for sure, but it's what's required to produce content at his level of quality and scale. And the third pillar is this complete and total rejection of good enough. His team might spend 20 or even 30 times longer just brainstorming an idea than a competitor would, all to guarantee the final product has the absolute maximum wow factor. It's about creating overwhelming value for the viewer, making something so spectacular that they have no choice but to watch it, share it, and come back for more. So we've got the philosophy. But a philosophy is pretty useless without a system, right? So how does this actually work in practice? Let's get into part 4. Engineering perfect retention. This is where the obsession becomes a predictable, repeatable process. The first big operational system is called the critical component system. For any one of his insane stunts, like burying himself alive or giving away a private island, the team identifies the one single thing that, if it fails, the entire video is ruined. That thing is the critical component, and it becomes the subject of an obsessive risk management ritual. Okay, let's take a real-world example. In a video where the prize is $1 million in cash, that cash is the critical component. If it's lost, if it's stolen, if it gets misplaced, the video is dead. So according to the system, that cash might be checked 10 times a day. They have multiple backup plans in place. They have confirmation letters from the bank ready to go. It's about transforming total chaos into a controlled, predictable process by just identifying and protecting that single point of failure. The second system is the retention engineering framework. This is where the data obsession really comes into play. It's about meticulously structuring the video itself to keep the audience glued to the screen. And the goal is simple, but it's ruthless. Eliminate every single dull moment that might cause a viewer to click away. This framework breaks down those first few critical minutes of a MrBeast video into a science. First, front-loading. If the video is last to leave the circle wins $500,000, you see the circle and you see the money in the first minute. The promise is delivered immediately. Second, crazy progression. The action escalates rapidly in minutes 1 through 3. No slow intros here. And third, the 3-minute re-engagement. Just as your attention might start to wander, he introduces a massive twist or a new spectacle to reset your interest and keep you locked in. It is a science. Now, this systematic approach has had consequences far beyond just YouTube, which brings us to part 5, his legacy as the architect of the creator economy. This right here, this is the engine of his entire empire, the virtuous reinvestment cycle we talked about. Higher budgets create a bigger spectacle. That spectacle drives more views and more revenue. That revenue is 100% reinvested, which increases the overall brand value, allowing him to command even higher budgets. It's an exponential growth loop that has allowed him to scale in a way no creator had ever done before. And the result of that cycle isn't just bigger videos. It's the ability to scale his intellectual property, his brand, far beyond YouTube. He launched Feastables, a snack company now in stores everywhere. He started MrBeast Burger, a massive virtual restaurant chain. And he's funded huge global philanthropy projects. The videos became the marketing engine for a diversified media and consumer products conglomerate. So, the crucial point of his legacy is this. He proved that a creator is not just an entertainer. A creator's brand is a strategic asset. And when you systematically reinvest in that asset, you can build an empire that rivals traditional media companies. He literally wrote the playbook for the modern creator economy. All of this leads us to our final section, the ultimate takeaway. What can we actually learn from this systematic obsession? How do we apply it? Let's make this personal for a second, because whether you're building a YouTube channel, a startup, or even just your career, the underlying principles of this formula apply. So how do you find your own version of what MrBeast builds? The answer is right here. You can't win in a hyper-competitive world, whether that's a social media algorithm or a tough market, with a good enough mindset. It just won't work.
You win by treating your craft like a high-stakes logistical equation. You win with systematic obsession. It's about shifting your perspective from just creating to engineering success.
So here it is, your obsession protocol, your takeaway. First, start viewing your work as that logistical equation. Break it down into variables you can control and optimize. Second, prioritize reinvestment of your time, your money, your energy back into your growth, not into short-term consumption. Third, identify and fiercely protect your project's critical component. And finally, be ruthless. Find every single dull moment in your product, your service, your presentation, and engineer it out of existence. At his core, MrBeast was, and still is, an analytical obsessive who bet everything on a platform he believed he could decode. His greatest achievement wasn't just one viral video. It was transforming that passion into a predictable, scalable formula. The obsession protocol he built created a billion-dollar brand by always prioritizing two things: the audience's attention and radical reinvestment into the next big thing. In the end, his story proves that systematic, exponential growth doesn't come from avoiding failure, but from a relentless commitment to maximizing your effort and your value. Success isn't about having no dull moments. It's about ruthlessly engineering them out of existence.